The Storming Bohemian punks the Muse. 2021 edition number 17. Where are the words for this? I began this Saturday morning with the New York Times. The first articles were all about COVID. How is it worse than ever in India and Puerto Rico? People continue to die. People continue to refuse vaccinations along a political divide. Black citizens, even children, continue to die at the hands of police. It is a strange good morning. Then I find, further down the page with no primacy of place, the story of how anthropology departments at major universities in the Northeast have kept the uninterred bones of a child who was slaughtered by our government when the Philadelphia police firebombed the headquarters of a black activist group called Muse in 1985. After dropping the bombs, the police ordered the fire department to allow the fires that followed to burn, eventually destroying more than 60 neighborhood homes. Now, we learn that the bones were collected, allegedly for forensic analysis to identify the victims. Some were given to a Professor Alan Mann, now Professor Emeritus at Princeton University, who failed to make an identification. He also failed to return the remains for proper burial. He has kept them all these years. This is from the Springfield, Massachusetts Republican, describing a lynching that took place in Georgia in April 1899. Before the torch was applied to the pyre, the Negro was deprived of his ears, fingers, and genital parts of his body. The body was cut to pieces. The bones were crushed into small bits. The heart was cut into several pieces, as was also his liver. Small pieces of bones went for 25 cents, and a bit of crispy cooked liver for 10 cents. There isn't a hair's breadth of space between 1899 and 2021. I try to think about that. I am making an effort. I sit at my desk and stare at the computer screen. I look up towards the shaded window where a bit of gray light streams into the room. A small candle burns on my desk, lit in my usual morning ritual before sitting down to write. The flame is not soothing now. It reminds me of the firebomb and the lynching. A passing car is blasting music with a bass so loud it shakes my house. I can feel tears on my cheeks. Involuntarily, my mouth is pursed in disgust. Then comes a wave of nausea. My writing office is my refuge. I almost always enjoy the gentle light and the tiny but fine Persian carpet in front of the wing-back chair where I sit to read. The shelves of books against each wall are like old friends who whisper to me. But now, gazing at the window, it feels like a tomb. I am with that child dying in a firebombing in Philadelphia in 1985, when I was a young man, just 29 years old. 15 years before that, I had been a child in Mississippi, living in a small town just a few miles from where Medgar Evers was shot down in his driveway. 36 years later, I sit in California reading of a professor emeritus who kept in a cardboard box in his office at Princeton the charred remains of a black child burned to death in a government-sponsored lynching in the city of brotherly love. I turn back to the computer, put my fingers to the keyboard, and try to write something. I almost always enjoy the gentle light that streams to the eastern window by my writing desk in the early morning hours when I sit down to work. But it is not so easy this morning. I am making an effort, nonetheless.